Morning, Charlotte. How are you doing? Awesome. Love the energy. So we are a Charlotte-based energy battery manufacturing company. We are looking forward to make it really big. So this is how we are planning to transcend the future. We are planning to focus on batteries. We'll be adding solar panels as required based on the projects that we'll be working on. But we're also getting into electric aviation. So it is not about supplying batteries for electric aviation, but also having our own branded electric aviation vehicle. We are talking about Cellurion A taxis. So when we look at the current industry challenges from battery perspective, we don't have really good technology. Safety is always a concern. Are we able to go the distance with the charge that we are going to have on our EVs, right? So that's why a lot of people have not transitioned. But when we look at Cellurion, we have access to excellent technology. It has got advanced cell chemistry. So we are able to go that additional distance. We are talking about 10 to 30 years of life expectancy. We've got world-class certifications already for the components. And we are talking about transfer of technology. Yes, we are going to start with battery manufacturing, but eventually we'll also get into cell level manufacturing. So that is going to be really big. So we'll have the full manufacturing plant here in Charlotte area. And we are also talking about safety and reliability tested. So that way we are sure that we'll be good with whatever technology that we are bringing to the market. The keyword here in this slide is there is no R&D required. When a lot of companies are taking in millions of dollars of investment to bring a good technology, we are already there. So when we look at where these batteries can be applied, one is electric vehicles, as you know, and there is also a large market called as storage. So there are a lot of industrial, residential, farm, aerospace, and defense applications. So we'll be able to have extremely customizable needs also met with our battery technology. So when we look at our focus, it is a multi-billion dollar or probably $1 trillion industry, as you know. We are looking at starting with storage. We cannot get into EV immediately because we are talking about gigafactories if we have to get there. So we want to start in the megawatt level. So that's why our focus is going to be on storage. And yes, eventually we're going to get into the EV stage, which is going to be in gigafactory level. So when we look at the roadmap, we are a startup. We started last year. And we are planning to get started with manufacturing this year, later part of this year. We're not planning to have our own in-house manufacturing to start with. We want to leverage third parties who are already there, established, so we can leverage with the technology that we have and leverage their manufacturing technology and stabilize that part before we get started with electric aviation. We'll start with the R&D, and then eventually we'll be going in for design and patents. And by the time we are going to hit IPO, we are planning to have our own mass production for the A taxis here in Charlotte. Exciting, isn't it? So the team, it's not possible for us to build something without the right team. So I'm working full-time at Lowe's as a senior technology leader at this point, but I've got few businesses also that I run in parallel. Jason is our CTO from battery side. All his career, he's worked on batteries. He is working as a senior scientist in University of Michigan Auto Lab. And Karthik is our CTO from aerospace perspective, electric aviation perspective. He is already appointed by US DOT as one of the advisors for drone and air mobility issues. All the road transportation is taken care of, but if all the drones start flying up in the air, do we know how we're going to regulate it? So he's going to solve that. So as you can see, we've got the industry leaders already as part of the leadership team. And Raj has 30 plus years of experience in manufacturing. So when we look at it from sales and marketing perspective, large focus is going to be on B2B. We are not going to go to customers directly, except for probably one product. We want to make the presence felt where we might have a portable unit and claim the best-in-class title, and then get started with the rest of the manufacturing companies also. So what we did is we completed a prototype. We went to University of Michigan Auto Lab last Christmas, and while we normally celebrate vacations somewhere, like we were in the Auto Lab, and companies, as you know, they start in garage. We were really fortunate to have started in the Auto Lab, where a lot of other competitor products also get tested. We were able to test our prototype, and the results were good. I can be so excited about the product, but I want the team also to be excited. It really helped us going there and being there. So summarizing it all, we are talking about a company which is established, and we have a fantastic team, leadership team that's ready to go. And we've established the supplier relationships. So we work with an excellent company, OEM, but they work with an NDA. So I won't be able to share who is supplying the components to me, but we have superior technology that is multiple times better than the best. So we have procured the components, and we completed the prototype as we showed you. And when we look at this year, later part of this year and early next year, we'll be going in for our own IP for battery case and BMS. But until then, like, we are relicensing whatever other technology that we are able to leverage from our OEM. So when we talk about third generation hybrid LFP advanced NMC technology, what does it mean? We are at least 4 to 6 times better than the best technology that is available today in the market. So that's what it means. When we look at the cost, just because we are better in technology doesn't mean we're not going to be affordable. Both from initial acquisition and also from life cycle cost will be very affordable. And we have exclusivity to bring this technology to the whole of North and South Americas. So what it means is the OEM who has excellent technology will not bring in anybody else to work in this area. And we are talking about transfer of technology so that, like, we'll be able to have cell level manufacturing, not just battery manufacturing. Cell level manufacturing, it is a multi-million-dollar unit if we are going to go for megawatt, and multi-billion-dollar unit if we are going to go for gigawatt level. But we will start with that in 2024. So why we are here? We are raising funds. At this point, we are looking at a 10% stake for $2 million, up to $2 million, depending on what's the investment option that you want to choose with. Our current valuation is $10 million. We are undervalued because we have the technology, but we don't have a product yet in the market. So this is the best time for you to be part of this multi-billion-dollar journey. Excited? Who's on? Thank you. Thank you.
I'll go first on this one. Thank you. Good energy. I guess I have to admonish you first because amount of information in the allotted time. Technically, we would ignore anything that comes after the bell. So just got to you've got to get to the meat of the presentation. Also, I don't know exactly what it is that you're doing. You're going to create a battery? So it's an invention. It's like you've made several references to OEM, R&D, in a very generalized type fashion, which left me not really understanding what you're doing. And when you, at one point you said, okay, I'm going to describe what this is. And you described it with superlatives, like the best of the best of the, what it's going to be the best of the best. That's not a description of what something is. So I would just caution you there, I like your energy. I mean, it's certainly aggressive, like your very first slide, you're like, we're here and we're going to be, air taxis, 4 years, who wants in? It's exciting, but you've got to provide a little bit more detail about what it is you're doing. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Fantastic feedback. Thank you for the questions. So first, in terms of what we do from a manufacturing perspective, yes, there are multiple applications, millions of applications on how we can take the batteries forward. So it's more like Lego cubes. You can see the cells, and then, like, when we put it all together, it can be different things. So we've got multiple areas, but our focus is going to be on storage. So that way, we'll be it will be a portable unit, or it can be from a residential perspective, or a grid storage from transmission perspective. And when I mentioned best of the best, we are 4 to 6 times better than the best. Yes, I have more slides where we have comparison details, but yes, because of time constraints and I didn't want to crunch too much, that's why I didn't touch those details. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. So I guess my comments would echo Garth's again a little bit. A little confusing as to whether you're an energy storage company or a mobility company. If you're a storage company, do you own the IP rights to this technology? Are you licensing them? You mentioned at the back end kind of some exclusive sales territories, which implies to me you don't necessarily own the technology. So I was just a little confused as to what the business was, right? And so I would encourage you, as Garth did, to kind of, you know, weed out a lot and get to a skeletal pitch that is very concise as to what it is you're going to do. Because I still, to this moment, can't tell you the relationship between the battery and the, you know, flying car, right? Like I'm not there. So you got to focus a little better on kind of what the opportunity is, what your unique advantages. And I would give you this piece of advice too, and I'd be curious to know if you'd kind of think this. I would suggest your first slide is a defining the problem, right? Like, what is the problem we're solving for, right? Because that would help people like us who may not be bent in this direction to understand conceptually what it is we're trying to solve for here. And that would help me immediately as to whether you're really principally a mobility company down the road or whether you're a battery technology company. So that would be my suggestion. And I think that will get you started and kind of down this skeletal pitch of kind of very concise markets that you're going to go after, what you're, you know, where this world-beating technology resides. Is it in your head? Is it your IP? Is it licensed IP? That kind of thing. So some cleanup work to do, I think, in trying to kind of make this concise and digestible to a pretty broad audience.
Thank you, sir. Great feedback. So that is a true, we have so much in our head, but we have to bring it out clearly so that, yeah.
It's great.
Yes, sir.
Your energy is fantastic. You clearly have a passion for what you want to do. I think you probably, and you know, you look like you have a team that's pretty qualified folks who've been around. I'm sure you guys get in a room and you have a million ideas about how you can go commercialize this. Hard for us folks outside the room to kind of keep up with it all.
So like we are relicensing. So we have got the technology from the OEM access that we have. So that way we are able to leverage it and we are able to bring it to the market, and we'll be the only ones who will be bringing it to the market. So that way we'll have the advantage. And yes, storage is the key focus. We'll have little more emphasis on what it is.
Again, I would get back to if your kind of competitive advantage is that you have an exclusive distribution rights, that needs to be clear. If your competitive advantage is you own that IP, that needs to be clear. Yep. That kind of thing. Big time.
Other questions from the audience?
Really great job.
Thank you.
My question is, what's the reason we should care about this problem in particular?
Excellent point.
Could you repeat the question just so that we have it?
Yes. So the question is, why should we care about this problem? What is the reason? Why should we bring this into the market? So excellent question. Thank you for the question. So one is from a green energy perspective, certainly we want to decarbonize. So that's a green energy revolution that's already in progress. So though a lot of energy sources are there, we're talking about solar, we're talking about the wind energy, hydro, nuclear, a lot of energy sources are there. But how do we reliably store and provide the energy? So there are two challenges. For example, in Las Vegas, there are resorts where 90% of their daytime, they're able to take care of it with a solar panel. But nighttime, it is only 30% because they don't have reliable storage. Like there's so much of sun in Las Vegas, and like we are not able to store it properly and leverage it. So that is one. And again, like whenever there are weather changes or climate impact, extreme climate weather changes, then like there is a transmission issue. Like there is so much of loss and we have power outages. So we can have microgrids so that like we can take care of those challenges also. This is again from a storage perspective. And from a electric vehicles perspective, yes, we want to get away from fossil fuel, right? Like there is a lot of challenges from energy dependency, etc. So that's where like we are trying to get into this side. And I'm not sure if you're aware, we have an excellent lithium source here, Crowder's Mountain, and there is Piedmont Lithium Company, which is just supplying lithium all over US. So that way, we have a lot of things that are already available here. All that's required is for excellent technology, which brings all these things together, and an excellent company which can take it to the market.
One more quick. Sure.
Yes.
I just was going to ask, asking, and just another point of information is just really, what is your down funnel of your market at? Like, I'm thinking, I I thought EV charging stations immediately when you put that up on the screen to what you all were saying. And PS, that might be something you want to look into, because I think, okay, there's $5 billion from Biden's administration coming down in money, and then if I'm your investor, and then there's 10 million from Cooper, and we're in the Carolinas. So what are you going after? Ashland was like, I got $535 million. We're going after at least 10% of that. So maybe that might help, as you're saying, like, this is this vast like ecosystem, and we're this part of it. And then what's your down funnel of ask to, man, 2 million? I mean, go for it. I love your energy. Keep your energy. It's amazing. And if that helps at all, just what's my percentage of that pie?
Great. Thank you, ma'am. Great feedback and excellent question. So from our focus, like we are going to start with just storage. So it might be a portable unit if there is a camper or if there is a contractor who's going to work somewhere where they don't have a proper energy source. They should be able to carry a 2 kilowatt unit. Or it might be for the home, like a power wall. Or it might be for an industry, it might be a multi-megawatt unit. Or it might be for a whole community where it might be a grid substation. Which will take care of it. That's from a storage perspective to start with. So that is also a key from a Department of Energy's interest perspective. They want us to also grow in this region. Yes, the other well-known part is like the EV side. So we will get there, but will we get into the charging side? Probably not, because we are going to be battery manufacturers, the charging stations and how the batteries are going to be used in cars. So that is more from a automobile industry perspective. We are going to supply the batteries to the automobile manufacturers. Yes, there is discussion about can we have modularized batteries. So we take like a stand in the queue, maybe take a couple of hours before we can charge a vehicle. That's not working now. So, right? So if we are able to get a modularized battery where you just take the new stuff and like you can just keep going immediately. So that's like just how we quickly fill the gas and keep moving. So probably that's the future, but when will we get there? Probably it might take more time. It might take a decade, because just like USB, we have to standardize things across all the manufacturers, not only from battery manufacturers, but also mainly from the EV manufacturers, right? So it's going to take some time, but our focus is more on the core battery side. And to start with, for at least a couple of years, we're not looking at the EV side at all. We'll be focusing more on the storage side.
Awesome. Let's give it up for our Ra.
Thank you.